So how do you convince your dad that your mom needs to go into a care home or a board and care? So not how to convince your mom who has dementia, right? We're talking about dad who is taking care of mom and has been taking care of mom for a very long time, but dad is vulnerable to an injury himself, or he's just very overwhelmed and can't do this forever. You know that, he knows that, I know that, your mom does not know that, but we need to find a solution, right? But your dad is like, I'm gonna do it, I can do it, I've got it all down. So let's talk about this situation. You need a place to talk that doesn't have a lot of distractions. You don't want the TV running in the background. You want the players there, so if you have brothers and sisters or maybe somebody on the phone that can give you a little reinforcement, you want to have a good, clear conversation with your dad on the importance of that. And some of the things that you're going to go over is the next item, which is you've gathered some information about board and cares, what they are, that it would be a good fit for your mom, that yes, here are some of the costs associated with that, but be prepared for this discussion. You don't have to be, an expert on it, but you need some of the information and kind of give him a feel for what you're talking about here. The next thing is really to focus on mom. So focus on mom's care. Now, I don't know about your dad, but I'm not sure that he's the best caregiver in the world. He's doing the best that he can, hopefully, but he's not the best caregiver in the world. I think we can agree on that. So what happens when your mom's not getting the best care and she has dementia? Well, she's at risk. She could be at wandering risk. She could turn on the stove. She could just fall down, right? And maybe dad can't help her back up. There's some fundamentals that you need to have as a caregiver. And once you get to a certain age or your body gets into a certain condition, you can no longer really help at the same degree that somebody might need that help. The other thing is your dad could get hurt. And, he may come back and say, well, I don't care if I get hurt. I'm doing my job. This is my job. Well, you do care that you're going to get hurt, because what happens to mom if you get hurt, dad? What happens is that she has to go somewhere now. Now you have less choices. And that is not the best responsible thing to do. You need a plan, you need a backup plan in case that happens. And the more risk that you're taking on for yourself, the more likely that is going to be the result of that. And the person caring for somebody with dementia is often the person who does get those injuries, even more so than the person that has dementia. So what is a board and care? A board and care is a licensed care facility. Most of the time they are licensed to have people with dementia, but they're not a memory care facility that stops people from wandering. They don't have that high level security that they have at a memory care facility. So this is kind of a hybrid assisted living that actually cares for people with dementia, but it's in the setting of a house. So it's a comfortable setting. Typically you have 6 residents at one of these locations, and maybe you have 2 caregivers on staff that are helping them during the day, and maybe 1 person overnight that's helping out for anything that's happening during the night. In working with me, I can take you through some of the definitions, some of the options. We're only talking about one option right here, which is board and care, but there's several options. There's memory care, there's assisted living, there's caregiving. So working with me, I have a free service that I help people come up with these solutions. So, call me up. It doesn't cost you anything else but the phone time that you're talking to me on the phone, and I can basically be your consultant. I know the right questions to ask. I know the right places. I know the places you don't want to go. I can give you a lot of information, and I receive a referral fee from the institution that I refer to you. Now, they are not going to charge you extra for that. You're going to charge the same price whether you use me or not. So I just want to make sure that you know that. There's lots of fears of going to a facility. Boarding cares are not like a rehab facility. They're not like that. But they do have other older people in there that have problems. So, sometimes it is a little bit of a shock for folks. The best thing to do is really understand that there are going to be some emotions, but to check out some things, because a lot of people have in their mind that it looks a lot different and a lot scarier in their mind than it did in real life. And you need to allow for some processing time for your dad. So this is a good conversation to have. Let him process it, come back to it, talk about some of the other options that are out there, and then come back to that same conversation with the same group, and let's come up with a plan. The biggest thing that you want to do is reassure him that it's going to be okay, that there are solutions in place, and that it's not 100% on dad to make sure that mom's being cared for. In fact, dad's going to have a very big part of the plan moving forward, even if she goes into a care home, because you're then allowed to be not the caregiver anymore, but the husband and the support person that you can be from an emotional standpoint. And that's a transition, but it's going to be okay. Every situation is unique, and there are a lot of different options out there. So again, talking with me, figuring out what those options are, is a big part of coming up with a final solution, right? So typically people give me a call, they tell me what's going on with mom and dad, and I download that information into my computer here, and I just try to figure out what I think is the best based on your location, your budget, and the condition of your parent or parents, and to find out really the scoop. And then I can come up with recommendations, and sometimes that recommendation is an in-home caregiver, sometimes it's a 24-hour caregiver, and then other times it's assisted living, a board and care, independent living. There's lots of different things. So give me a call. I'm happy to chat with you, and I hope you do. It feels really good for you to have a plan in place as well. So give me a call and we can work on that. All right, talk to you soon.